built a house inside my head with all the words you never said.
Hey everyone. Okay, let's just jump right in today. I want to start by acknowledging something that, well, a lot of us carry around, but we almost never actually talk about. It's that heavy and, honestly, usually completely invisible burden of unmet life expectations. If you've ever felt that, that quiet exhaustion of just waiting for a season of your life to finally shift. Maybe you're waiting for a career breakthrough or a relationship or literally just a sense of stability. If that's you, I just want you to know right off the bat, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're validating that exact experience and we're going to unpack exactly how to navigate it.
Okay, let's dive into this. We get some brilliant clarity on this whole concept in a deeply reflective book called The Hidden Weight of Not Yet by Olivia Jonah. Think about it. From a really young age, we're basically taught to dream big, right? And without even realizing it, we start plotting out these invisible deadlines in our heads. You know the ones. Oh, I should definitely be married by this age. Or I should be way farther up the corporate ladder by now. Or I totally thought I'd have a family started at this point. But as Jonah beautifully points out in the text, life just rarely follows the perfect little timelines we create for ourselves. So the crucial point is that the emotional pain of these delayed dreams, it is incredibly real. Jonah draws on Proverbs 13:12, which says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick." And she explains that waiting isn't just, a simple fleeting disappointment. When your expectations sit there unmet year after year, it actually creates this unique, silent soul sickness. It's almost like a quiet grief, and it can completely mess with you, making you question your worth, your life choices, maybe even your fate. It's heavy, and man, it is just exhausting.
And you know what? A massive chunk of that exhaustion actually comes from what the text calls the illusion of formulas. We really need to expose these toxic, predictable little mathematical equations for life and success that our culture just constantly feeds us. We're told all the time, just study hard and you'll succeed. Be faithful and it'll all work out perfectly. Get the right degree and the doors will just fly open. We are literally conditioned to treat life like it's a giant vending machine. Put the right amount of effort in, hit the button, and boom, get the exact outcome you wanted out.
And this brilliantly illustrates a really stark clash between our expectations and reality. On one hand, you've got human formulas. That's the whole idea that effort plus obedience absolutely guarantees your desired outcome. But contrast that with biblical reality. That reality embraces things like time, chance, divine mystery, and spiritual formation. It's not a straight line. Jonah actually deconstructs this whole A plus B always equals C myth by sharing her own story. Get this. Despite doing everything quote-unquote right down to earning 2 master's degrees and working her tail off, she still faced a totally devastating job loss just because of a corporate merger. The formula completely collapsed.
Which brings us to this incredibly profound truth from the author. She writes, "Faith is not the same thing as control." We really have to take a hard look in the mirror and recognize that our craving for these predictable life formulas, it's actually just a cleverly disguised desire to control our own outcomes. We want the formulas because uncertainty exposes our limits, right? It's a glaring reminder of how little we actually control in the grand scheme of things. But the true reality of faith is learning to hold your life with open hands and humility, rather than white-knuckling it with rigid certainty.
So, what actually happens when our perfectly crafted life plans just totally collapse? Let's shift gears for a second and explore how we react spiritually to all of this. Because disappointment, it has this wild, profound way of exposing what we truly deep down believe about God. Think about it. As long as life is clipping along perfectly according to our little master plan, faith feels pretty easy, doesn't it? But the second that timeline shatters, suddenly we are forced to confront those deeper, scarier questions that, frankly, we're usually terrified to say out loud.
Notice the critical distinction we're making here between 2 very different mindsets. First, you've got transactional faith. Now, this is the kind of faith that gets really bitter and entitled. It's the voice that demands, hey, I served you, so why on earth did this happen to me? It essentially treats God like a cosmic genie who owes us a favor because we put in our good behavior tokens. But contrast that with surrendered trust. That is a faith that honestly and openly brings its absolute mess, its tears, and all its confusion directly to a loving God, but without demanding that He operate on our personal schedule. Surrendered trust just rests. It rests in God's wisdom and timing, even when it hurts like crazy. So I want you to consider this rhetorical question for a second. Are we seeking His hand or are we seeking His heart? It's a pretty challenging thought, isn't it? Like, are we only chasing after God for the stuff He can give us, the
marriage, the dream job, the physical healing, or are we actually pursuing him just for who he is? Jonah points out that true, lasting peace only really arrives when God himself becomes the main pursuit, rather than just the earthly outcomes we're trying to extract from him. Because once he becomes the actual prize, suddenly those unmet expectations totally lose their power to destroy our peace.
Okay, so knowing all of this, how do we practically move forward? On a random Tuesday morning, how should a believer actually navigate and spiritually process this deep, lingering disappointment? Because let's be real, we can't just slap a smile on and pretend it doesn't hurt. Ignoring the pain isn't having faith. That's literally just suppression. Thankfully, the text offers a super clear, structured pathway for handling this.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a really practical step-by-step journey. First up, you have to name and locate it. What exactly did you expect to happen, and where did that expectation even come from? Second, surrender it. You've got to release that timeline you were never really in control of anyway. Third, anchor it. Go back to actual rock-solid biblical promises, not just cultural assumptions. Fourth, feel it. Go ahead and grieve, and do it without guilt. Emotional suppression is definitely not the biblical solution. God is absolutely not afraid of your tears. And finally, rebuild it. Start forming new expectations, but this time, let them be guided by God's wisdom.
To really ground this concept, the text's annex gives us 3 historical case studies of some incredibly faithful women who stared down terrifying not yet and massive life disruptions. We've got Hannah, who endured years of agonizing barrenness and actual bullying, but she took that profound pain and channeled it straight into prayer. Then there's Jochebed, who gave birth right in the middle of an edict demanding her baby boy's life be taken, yet she managed to remain fiercely faithful amidst absolute terror. And of course, Mary. Her entire predictable, quiet life was totally upended by a divine, highly scandalous pregnancy. But she chose to say yes to the disruption anyway. The common thread here? Every single one of them chose trust over panic. Which brings us to our final thematic arc for today, trusting beyond the noise. How do we actually live day to day with these massive, unresolved questions hanging over us? Better yet, how do we build genuine spiritual maturity when we're standing smack in the middle of a delayed dream and it feels like we're just watching everyone else breeze right past us? Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Jonah unpacks a fascinating distinction. She says, waiting is what we do, not yet is what we experience. Think about that. Waiting is just a physical action, but the not yet, that is the heavy, grinding emotional tension. And here is the really profound realization. That super uncomfortable, deeply uncertain space of the not yet is exactly where God does his absolute deepest character formation and preparation in us. So that waiting period, it is definitely not wasted time. It's a crucible for your growth.
But to survive that waiting space, we have to recognize what actually holds true authority. The author pulls this amazing, profound insight out of Jeremiah 46:17. It notes that Pharaoh, who, remember, was once a symbol of absolute terror and complete control in the ancient world, is eventually described as simply a noise, just a noise. Jonah applies this so brilliantly to our lives today. The lies we hear, those societal timelines we obsess over, the constant social media comparisons, and even our own loud internal fears, they are all just noise. Sure, they can be incredibly loud, but they do not carry any actual authority over your life or over God's timing, because truth will always remain greater than noise.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this pretty provocative final thought, drawing on the author's closing metaphor. Look, it is so easy to say we trust God when the waters are perfectly calm and everything's going exactly our way. But an anchor is never tested in calm waters, is it? It's tested when the storm hits. So ask yourself, honestly, deeply, will your anchor hold when life just doesn't make any sense? Is your faith anchored in perfectly timed outcomes, or is it securely fastened to Christ himself? Because let me tell you, if your anchor's in him, even under the crushing weight of the not yet, it is gonna hold.
Build a house inside my head with all the things you said you'd do. Every room was painted